If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below. Well, to absolutely no one's surprise, this video got copyright claimed just like my last video did. Unfortunately, there will be no intro for this video, but I did make one. If you want to see that, it is going to be available on my Instagram at thebirdman15.
2 minutes and 30 seconds of jack shit.
I'm going to ignore that you're ignoring the setup of the Mondoshiwins and instead give you 50 sins for even thinking of sinning this movie.
Aziz, light! Aziz, light.
Luke Perry was hired both by this man and the director of the movie to mark how many times this kid sucks at his job.
Sinning Aziz light.
Then let us toast your fame.
This priest is so eager to get the guy to drink the poison, he stupidly calls for a toast when there's no alcohol involved. And of course, that screws up the plan. The guy would have drank the water, dude. Damn. Now all that hard work you did to get to heaven is ruined.
Wow. It usually takes you about halfway into a movie to just start listing what you see. Again, Jeremy is just watching the movie and telling us what the movie is telling us. There is no sin here. The movie is suggesting that if he didn't say toast, the professor would have drunk the poison. If you're unclear about why I'm sinning CinemaSins here, this is like if I watched Fight Club and said, the main character is Tyler Durden.
So, wait, were the aliens already on their way here, or are they on standby in case someone discovers the fifth element secret?
You see what I mean? How is this a sin when the answer to this question is obvious? The lead Mondoshiwin literally states that they were here to take the fifth element and stones because they were no longer safe in Egypt. There was a tiny little skirmish brewing at the time called World War I. Maybe you've heard of it?
Like a kid with an iPhone, 1914 Luke Perry's first reaction to the aliens is, must record this.
It's called shock, Jeremy, similar to my reaction nearly every time I watch one of your videos.
How did this species evolve? They're robots, and they look extremely cumbersome. If they were made, who makes stuff like this? And if they're a naturally occurring species, why did natural selection take time off to let them survive?
I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that this has nothing to do with the movie, yet CinemaSins decided this question was something that was wrong with the fifth element. But I'll answer this anyway. Here on Earth, we have creatures that are very similar to this. They're called turtles. Hell, the way the Mondos walk is very similar to penguins. Both those creatures get along just fine and evolutionarily speaking are well suited to their environments, which is why they're still here. That's how evolution works. You become accustomed to your environment. And as Earth is not their environment, coupled with the fact that they're heavily armored, the question you asked is pretty fucking stupid.
How are the stones not safe on Earth anymore if this kind of microchip finger thing is required to even unlock the room they're in?
If someone really wanted into that room, they could easily level it with explosives, and if we're talking technologically advanced aliens, they probably wouldn't even need that.
Futuristic keyboards only require a few command buttons and the letters V and I.
Jeremy thinks the down arrow and exclamation point are letters.
Derek, do you hear me? Get out of there.
Does anyone on the ship hear the president's order other than the general? Does anyone think it might be prudent to turn the ship around and blast off at warp speed while their general sits frozen like this?
Watching the scene, you'd note that everyone was paralyzed, not just the general.
In case you confused it for South Brooklyn, New Jersey.
Well, people from New Jersey do think they're in New York.
The movie was pretty strict back in 1914 that something was going to happen 300 years later, and that's where we are now. But the year is 2263 according to this card, some 349 years later.
No, the movie was not pretty strict that something would happen exactly 300 years later. It was obviously an approximation. Even if you're rounding, 349 is still 300. Do you get antsy when someone refers to America's age as 200 years old instead of 244? Is that extra 44 years important in a non-historical context?
Welcome to Blossom Paradise!
I'm beginning to think Luc Besson watched and lived the movie Friday a lot before making this movie.
And you'd be wrong because Luke actually wanted Prince for this role. But due to a combination of scheduling conflicts and Prince assuming the Frenchman was saying, fuck you, he declined.
Watch it all day, sweetie. It'll rot your brain.
Why do you shut the cat out of the apartment all night, but basically lock it in the apartment all day?
How are you a cat person and not know that cats basically turn into the Flash at night?
This plan is flawed, since you have to hope no one is looking at their security feed while you walk up to the door. Not only that, but you'd have to hold this close enough to the camera for the perspective to be right. But you'd lose light that way, which security cameras need to work.
He says while showing a scene of the plan actually working. Also sending this scene.
This space border suggests everyone in this movie is thinking about space two-dimensionally.
At least it makes sense for the film, and you got exactly what they were trying to get across. Seriously, if they were trying to be accurate, the only accurate shape they could have used for a 3D border around a planet would be a sphere, which would make the planet look like Cybertron.
Any survivors?
only one.
This statement requires the prominent visual aid support of my pointy finger.
CinemaSins is really digging deep to send this classic, y'all.
The compositional elements of his DNA chain are the same as ours.
How can you deconstruct the DNA so perfectly and not know it'll be a hot chick?
The movie actually addresses this. They state that when they analyzed her DNA, the computers went off the charts.
Two cells are still alive. It's more than I need.
You at least identified it?
We tried, but the computer went off the chart.
This Earth culture has the ability to rebuild an unknown super creature from the DNA of a single hand, but still needs any kind of help defending itself from attack.
But those things literally have nothing to do with each other. One is biological and the other is militaristic. Besides, the thing they need to defend themselves from is basically superphysical, which requires the usage of elemental stones in a divine being.
Also, a movie with this technology will go on to try and make us feel tension at the possible death of many characters who, even if they died, would still have left behind a hand.
There are two possible ways to interpret this particular sin. The first is that Jeremy is suggesting possible character deaths throughout the film are tensionless because of the existence of this technology. This is silly, as we aren't afraid for any of the main characters' lives in this movie. The second interpretation is the one CinemaSins actually means, that the entire planet will be destroyed, and we know this because he says possible death of many characters. There is an obvious problem with this, and if you are intelligent, you will easily see what it is. If the evil destroys all life in the universe, how the f*** would anyone be able to resurrect anyone?
I might remove a sin for naked Milla Jovovich, but come on, well, that's unique or rare.
3 sins. One for pronouncing her name as Jovovich, another for sinning something you like, and a third for not removing a sin for a naked Milla Jovovich. You're lucky I don't add more.
I'd like to take a few pictures.
A good pervert would have taken the pictures before the thermal bandages.
It's a good thing he mentions those photos were for the archives then.
If you want out, you're going to have to learn to develop those communication skills.
But if she doesn't have communication skills to understand this ultimatum...
Pretty sure he said she's going to have to develop communication skills, not that she doesn't have them at all. Lilu is hyper intelligent. She can generally understand what people are saying. She just cannot respond until she learns English in a few days, which again points to her hyper intelligence.
Despite having been asleep for thousands of years and reconstructed after a spaceship crash, Lilu somehow knows how to open this thing.
As I just stated, one of Lilu's abilities is extreme intelligence. This manifests itself as her being able to figure out complex problems relatively easily and in a short amount of time. The perks of being a divine being.
She dove off.
What are you, the narrator?
Nah, just the guy letting his fellow officers know something they probably weren't there to witness.
Perfect being does not come pre-programmed with English.
That's racist.
Boom. Boom. Bada boom.
20 damn seconds of boom, bing, bada, boom bullshit.
Sinning big bada boom.
Please help.
I realize she's desperate, but for all she knows, these words mean killed babies.
Yes, because the taxi would be advertising killing babies, which, even if they were, would be something amicable to Corbin Dallas since it's in his cab. Like I said, Lilu is hyper intelligent.
1 point has been removed.
So he went from 5 points to 1 on his license when a person fell from above into his cab, which he couldn't control. But then when he intentionally speeds away from cops that have tethered his cab, he only loses 1 point?
That's because he only had 1 point left. The f*** are you asking for here? For him to be negative points?
Cool shot, but impossible, even if Anakin Skywalker were piloting.
Says it's impossible, shows a scene why it's not.
Looking for a priest.
The wedding's at 1 floor down, my son.
Lilu told Dallas Vito's name and he found his address in a phone book, but he asked for a priest instead of Vito so this joke could happen.
Oh no, a comedy film has comedy in it. Must be something wrong with it.
Hey, lady. Wake up.
She doesn't respond to one voice command, so sure, let's kiss her.
This is a reference to the fairy tale Sleeping Beauty. However, the film itself admonishes the character for doing this. It's not a sin if the film acknowledges that he shouldn't have done this.
Damn, none of the cops are waiting for him back at his apartment? Those guys are f***ing amateurs.
That's probably because the cops aren't actually looking for a guy named Corbin Dallas. They know nothing about him, so why would they know where he lives?
She's learning words by seeing the word and a picture representing the word. But how do you define words like necessity with one picture?
She probably saw one of your thumbnails and went, "The Birdman."
They really make her perfect. I know.
Yeah, if she got a boob job, said some casting directors.
Implying big tits makes someone perfect. Trust me, it does not. Also, wouldn't this be a sin for those casting directors and not The Fifth Element? I mean, that's what your intro told us this would be about.
Breaks down on 4 parts, undetectable by X-ray.
That thing is undetectable by X-ray? You can't just say shit like that and move on like you didn't just completely reinvent science, man.
This is one of the fundamental issues with CinemaSins. They make these videos under the assumption that these fantastical fictional worlds adhere to the reality that we all live in. Asking questions like, how could Gamora hold on to Drax, wouldn't be so dumb if Gamora and Drax actually existed in the real world, but they don't, so it is. This film presents an obviously fictional world where stones control the elements, but to CinemaSins, this gun being undetectable by X-rays is the unbelievable part. Give me a fucking break.
3,000 round clip.
There's no way this gun holds 3,000 of any kind of bullet.
This case is empty.
They took the case and didn't even see if anything was in it, even to verify there's not another case out there?
That's literally a plot point within the film. The Mangalores take things literally. They specifically state that all Zorg asked for was a case.
I'm screwed.
You asked for a case. We brought you a
A
case.
case with 4 stones in it! What the hell am I supposed to do with an empty case?
We are warriors, not merchants.
But you can still count!
Why in the hell is it eating up all the satellites?
Damn, Evil in the Universe hates HBO. Wait, does this apartment have blinds but no window?
I'm pretty sure this is a window, dude. The word you're looking for is glass.
You rigged the contest?
Why would the government need to rig a contest to send Dallas to the planet? Is it illegal to go there if you don't win a contest? Can they not buy tickets to this Divas concert?
No, they can't buy tickets to the concert because it was explicitly stated in the movie that those tickets were sold out and no one could get their hands on them. It was also stated that the president wanted this mission to be handled discreetly, and using the contest to slip in Corbin unnoticed is a pretty effective way of doing that.
I want this operation to be discreet as possible. No troops, no big operation. I want your best man to go undercover.
I have the perfect one.
Who is it?
What do you mean, who is it? The only person you've ever seen with orange hair, and one you surely knew was in this cab earlier, right?
No! Again, Corbin escaped from the police and they have no idea that he was the one that helped Lilu escape. Jesus, how is it you can't understand the fifth element? This is like baby's first sci-fi.
Also, they're looking for Corbin Dallas, but the document doesn't have any pictures. You'd think in a micromanagement everything's on file culture they'd have one, but conveniently they don't.
Zorg's henchman called in a terrorist threat on Corbin. Since Zorg doesn't know what Corbin looks like, or even who he is, he never meets Corbin in this entire film, the police don't have a picture of him.
I found him.
Why is Corbin's door ID on another door? Didn't Lilu rip off this tag earlier? Did she go next door and put it there for some stupid reason? What the fuck?
First of all, that was not Lilu's hand, that was Vito's. Unless, of course, you think everything about Milla is sexy as fuck except her hands, like Megan Fox. Second, the reason Vito switched the tags on the door is that he went to Corbin's apartment knowing there was a possibility he'd have to kill him to take the ticket. Considering he's trying to take Corbin's place, a dead body in an apartment with his name on it would immediately cast suspicion on him.
Corbin Dallas, we got him.
How do you fuckers know you need Corbin Dallas? No one told you assholes where the stones were. In fact, all your buddies got blown up by Zorg, so you had to figure out what happened and why, then somehow find someone who knew that the stones were on another planet, and you guys are too damn stupid to have investigative skills like this.
When presented with evidence that these characters are not actually stupid, the actually stupid CinemaSins has a meltdown. By the way, Aknot, the guy that is talking here, survived that explosion. Notice the injuries?
Met you twice today.
Today? You mean all the shit we've seen since she jumped in his cab happened all in one day?
Why the hell is that so unbelievable? All of that happened in less than 30 minutes of movie time.
How did Corbin get to the spaceport so fast? Unless it's part of his apartment complex, he'd need to drive there. And he doesn't have any more points on his license, and no car except his beat-up taxi that he can't possibly drive anymore. So something crucial is missing from this equation.
Wait. Jeremy is seriously asking how a taxi driver got to an airport. A taxi driver. The person who definitely knows how to communicate with other taxi drivers.
The director and Chris Tucker had an obvious disagreement about how much Chris Tucker this character actually required.
Except according to a Reddit AMA, Luke loved Chris's performance. That right there shows you just how much CinemaSins talks out of their asses.
Hi.
Oh, you speak English now?
Yes, I learned.
Right, the kung fu and mayonnaise shit was much more important to learn first.
The kung fu and mayonnaise shit. What the fuck is he talking about? You mean her learning English, the literal point of this conversation?
Someone all positions.
I guess this would be the Lightyear High Club then? Do space shuttles need runways?
Considering space is space, yeah, I think they'd kind of be helpful.
Movie forces me to listen to opera.
Singing the diva song in The Fifth Element.
Lone gunman in this scene conveniently runs out of bullets.
Conveniently? You mean after he was wasting all his shots trying to shoot Lilu?
She sings one song and gets a standing ovation.
Dude, what kind of shit is this? When do you think standing ovations should happen? At the end of a concert? You mean like right now?
Each hotel room comes with an opening in the ceiling so that you can make a quick getaway.
Yes, Jeremy, it's called the ventilation system.
She needs your help and your love, or she will die.
She's perfect, though, right? I mean, what?
My reaction to this sin, because I don't know what the hell you're even trying to say. Are you suggesting that because she's physically perfect, that she doesn't need love? The one emotion that's imperfect by definition?
Also, what kind of terror were you going to put your entire entourage through if you didn't get shot? Okay, show's done. Time to rip open my stomach and give a white dude some bricks.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Her handler basically implied to Lilu earlier that the diva was going to sacrifice herself.
He survives the bullets and the two-story fall, no problem.
He survives the bullets that were around him and a two-story fall that was actually one story.
Does anyone else want to shoot this guy since he's only one person? I will never understand these monster warrior guys and their techniques.
Which is strange, considering the movie literally tells you the Mangalores won't fight without their leader.
There. Where's that? That's the Diva Suite.
How the f does the priest know that? Is he suddenly an expert on this space cruise ship's schematics? The f***ing fuck.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a legitimate CinemaSin if that were Vito saying that. Too bad it's not. You can see Dallas talking to one of the crewmen of the ship in this scene. Not to mention the person saying this clearly has an American accent with a deep voice, and Vito Cornelius is played by an Englishman with a higher-pitched voice.
Why isn't there a rusty robot missing a key standing at the entrance?
David removed the dead Mondo when Vito asked him to prepare everything.
Think mine is broken, huh? Well, I gotta get the broke one.
Chris Tucker is still in this movie.
Yeah, he is. Why didn't you remove us in?
Corbin unnecessarily holds the match up in the air for a long-ass time.
Probably because it's the last match, and if he put it down too quickly, it would go out and everyone would die?
Scanner imaging has confirmed the dark planet dead.
That's great, but isn't it f***ing with the orbit and/or gravity of Earth and the Moon?
Yeah, it most likely is, but at least in this universe, it doesn't matter. This movie implies that the moon we have is a result of this evil as well, as this cycle happens every 5,000 years and is thwarted by a divine being. Of course, the moon is actually about the same age as the Earth, which is roughly 4.5 billion years, so this is a crock of shit. But hey, there actually are people that believe the Earth is 6,000 years old. I know because they're in my Twitter mentions after my Hercules video trying to rationalize a children's story called Noah's Ark.
Multipass.